Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the BSA Scrambler 650 out for a review ride, and I am looking forward to this one because this bike really does appeal to me. I think it's an absolutely awesome looking machine. So if you like to escape the city, come out into the country, jump on the pillion seat, and I'll take you all for a ride. The engine is a 652cc single with 45 brake horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 55 Newton meters of torque at 4,000 RPM. The gearbox is a 5-speed manual with a cable operated clutch. The exhaust is a single-sided system. For the front suspension we have a 41mm telescopic fork. The rear suspension comes by the way of a twin shock setup. The front brakes are a 320mm disc with a twin pot Brembo caliper. The bike also has ABS. The rear brakes are a 255mm disc with a single piston Brembo caliper and ABS. The front wheel is spoked, it's 19 inch and it is running the Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR tyres. The rear wheel is a 17 inch spoked and again running the Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR tyres. On the left hand side we have the horn, the flasher, the indicators and the select button. There's also a USB type A and C outlet. On the right hand side we have the start button, the kill switch and the hazards. The dash provides all the usual basic information: speed, revs, time, fuel levels and the neutral light. The front headlights and the front indicators are both LED. The rear lights and the rear indicators are also LED. The fuel tank capacity is 12 litres. The seat height is 820mm. The bike has a steel tubular frame and it weighs in at 216 kilograms. This is the grey colour scheme. You can also choose from black or yellow. The speed test, acceleration test up to the national speed limit. So let's see how it performs. Here we go. There we go. It's adequate for around town and anything else you may be doing. I would have thought, but you're not going to win the traffic light Grand Prix obviously, but you know, you're not going to buy one of these bikes to try and do that. So all good in my opinion. So one thing I will say about the BSA Scrambler 650 after a very short period of riding is that around town and in slow moving traffic it's really easy to cope with and live with. It feels very well balanced. You're not fighting the bike at crawling speed. I'm talking 2-3 mile an hour. The bike just feels stable and you have confidence in it. So like I say, the first kind of impressions of the bike are really good. I definitely believe that the BSA Scrambler 650 would make a great commuter bike. It's nice and easy to get through the traffic. It's awesome at slow speed, really controllable. And I believe you can get panniers for it, so that would then obviously open up another avenue for the bike for if you wanted to go touring. You've got somewhere to stick all your goodies in. But for around town, I really do rate this bike. Okay, let's give the Motorway test a try out now, shall we? See how the BSA Scrambler performs. Well, we're up to 70. And it feels no different than most bikes really. Pressure there on the chest. Well, I mean, to be expected, it's a naked bike for all intents and purposes. Well, it's coming along nicely, cruising along at 70. For me, these are the roads which the BSA Scrambler 650 is ideally suited to. Back roads, single tracks, narrow, tight and twisty, and with a nice rugged terrain to surround it. These are the roads which I find these types of bikes really enjoy and you can have the most fun on. So, when I'm out on a Scrambler type bike, I'll naturally head to the tightest roads. If it's a B road, if it's a C road, even better, because that is a natural environment for a Scrambler, in my opinion. And this bike, this BSA, is no different. It absolutely laps it up. So then, the BSA Scrambler 650. How would I describe this bike in one word? Fabulous. This is an absolute gem of a motorcycle, and BSA should be applauded for bringing this bike to the market. A great handling, a great looking, and a great value motorcycle, all in one. What more could you ask for? I strongly feel that this bike deserves to be a sales success, but I get the feeling that a lot of people will disregard this bike off the cuff and not even give it a chance, let alone give it a try out on a test ride. Now, One of my neighbours recently purchased one of these BSA Scramblers to replace his previous bike, and his previous bike was a Triumph Bonneville. So that for me says a lot about this bike and is a ringing endorsement of how good this bike actually is. So firstly, the design of the bike. I think BSA have got this bike absolutely spot on. It really looks like something you would see at a historic trials event. It looks rugged and purposeful, and this colourway for me is an absolute peach. This is definitely the pick of the 3 colour choices. So at the weekend I was at a motorcycle show and I pulled up on this bike, and within 3 to 4 minutes of jumping off it, there was 3 people straight around the bike to have a look around it. So for me, that again speaks volumes about what a good looking motorcycle the BSA Scrambler is. So the handling of the bike. Now, I've read and heard a lot of people saying things about this bike, that it's a bit lazy, a bit wallowy, and isn't that great on handling. Well, I would say to that, they haven't pushed this bike and really found out what it can do, because this bike is surprisingly dynamic. It's very, very easy to drop it in, tip it into a corner and hold the line. It feels balanced, it feels like it gives you confidence, and it's enjoyable to throw around the twisties. So the previous bike I was riding before jumping on the Scrambler 650 was a sports performance machine. So you would expect jumping on this, you would feel a big difference, and this would feel lazy, slow, unresponsive, but quite the opposite is what I found. I found it to be really, really good handling. If you work the bike, you put the effort in, you grab those wide bars there, you put the pull into the bars, you hopped off the bike to the left or to the right there just to help it tip in. It really did perform excellent, and it was really, really enjoyable. Another nice surprise was the Pirelli tyres, the Scorpion Rally tyres. They felt really, really good on the road. I did try them briefly on a gravel track, and again, they felt really, really confidence inspiring on there as well. So for me, they're a good all-round choice for this machine. The Scrambler has Brembo brakes on the back and on the front, and they are, as you would expect, confidence inspiring. They feel good, progressive at all times, and definitely enough stopping power for this bike. The engine on the bike, the 652cc, for me, it's an absolute winner. I really enjoyed this engine, and I thought that it suits the bike. It gives a good character to the bike, and also the acceleration off the line from the lights, say, was perfectly acceptable. You wasn't lagging behind, you wasn't wanting more. It got up to speed as quick as you need. Also, I found that between 45 and 65 miles an hour when you're out on the open A roads, in top gear, you give the throttle a twist, it would pull you from 45 up to 60, no issue. There was no lag. It didn't feel like you were wanting. In fact, I was quite impressed with how it got from 45 to 60 in top gear. Like I say, it was just effortless is probably the best way to describe it. Also, with the engine being a single, you may expect it to be a very vibrating motorcycle to ride, but for me, I found it really, really smooth. Found there was no annoying or excessive vibration through the bars or through the pegs or even through the seat. To me, it felt surprisingly smooth and quite enjoyable. It just felt characterful, as I said previously. I definitely feel that one of my Ducatis, the Diavel, which costs 3 times the price of this bike, is far, far worse. Like I say, I found this quite enjoyable to ride, and I think you could cover many miles and you wouldn't really feel discomfort. So speaking of comfort, the seat, that is absolutely excellent. That feels and looks like something you would find on a classic motorcycle. I found it nice and grippy, but mainly and most of all, very, very comfortable to sit on for long periods. You sink into the seat, which for me is just a massive tick. I hate seats which are hard or slippy. This is an absolutely cracking seat, and it also fits. The design of it also is in keeping with the bike. I also like the BSA logo, which is stitched there into the back of the bike. I think that's a nice finishing touch. So the suspension of the bike, both front and rear, for me, it felt really nice. It wasn't bangy, it wasn't a hard ride. In fact, I found it quite a soft ride, and it seemed to soak up the potholes and the bumps, the speed humps, with no issue whatsoever. It wasn't a bone shaker, so you definitely felt nice and easy and smooth to ride. So the handlebars, I really like these. They're really, really wide, so that makes it obviously nice and easy to manhandle the bike, throw it around, tip it into a corner. But I did find off-road,
that they felt a little bit too low when you were stood up on the bike, so maybe a riser just to bring them up a little bit would be helpful if green laning or off-roading was the kind of thing you were looking to do. So the gearbox, I found it really, really good. Positive changes up and down. It's a 5-speed manual and it's a cable operated clutch, so it's just a basic design, but for me, that's the kind of thing I like. I did find that when you pulled the clutch all the way back to the bars, it didn't want to drop into gear as easily as if you just pulled the clutch, say, half the way down. So that was just kind of something I got used to with riding. But again, there was no issue. There was no problems with it. It went into gear. It went up and down the box absolutely fine. So let me point out a couple of things which I didn't like about the BSA Scrambler 650. Now, with all my reviews, I'm not associated with any manufacturer. These are just my independent reviews. I'll always give what I feel is a non-biased or an informative review of the bike to try and help anybody who may be interested in buying these. But there genuinely was only a couple of things I didn't like about this bike. First up was the instrument binnacle. Now, for some reason, it's flat. The BSA Bantam, which I've also got at the moment, that instrument binnacle is probably about 35 degrees further tilted forward, and it's absolutely fine. This one here, with it being flat, when you're riding, the sunlight or even daylight reflects off it, and it stops your vision from being able to see that binnacle clearly and read the information on there. I don't really understand why that's being done. It should just be the same as the Bantam, angled up, solves that problem absolutely fine. Other than that, it works absolutely perfectly well. It gives you all the information which you need and which you would want. A nice touch also, which I haven't mentioned, is the USB A and C sockets, which are on the handlebar there, in a very nice, convenient location. Next up is the mirrors. Now, I don't dislike these, but I'm probably just a little bit unsure on them at the moment. They work fine. There wasn't any excessive vibration again through there. Good clear vision behind you, over your shoulders. But it's just the long arms, the stalks there. I don't know whether that kind of appeals to me fully. And I have seen that you can get bar end mirrors for these from BSA. So I really would be keen to see what they look like on the bike, and that would help me make an informed decision to which way I would go if this was my machine. So if you're looking for your next motorcycle and are looking for something which looks great, rides absolutely superb, is fun and enjoyable, is priced reasonably, is happy touring, doing a bit of green laning, or just mooching around the town, or even a countryside from coffee shop to coffee shop, the BSA Scrambler 650 is something I would highly recommend taking for a test ride and considering. It'd be great to hear from any BSA Scrambler 650 owners. Are these bikes as good as what I think they are? What do they like to live with on a day-to-day and a year-round basis? Are they reliable? What's the servicing costs like? Is there anything which I've missed off, or anything you would like to share? Drop a comment below and let people know what your thoughts are on these bikes, because personally, I really thought this was an absolute gem of a machine. I really hope you've enjoyed my review video on the BSA Scrambler 650 as much as I've enjoyed riding this bike. As I say, this is something I would strongly consider adding to my own collection. If you did enjoy the video, please like, hype and comment below. Remember to keep it shiny side up, and I'll see you all in the next one.